Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show with your host, Phil Tarrant.
Well, good day, everyone. It's Phil Tarrant here. I'm the host of the Smart Property Investment Show. How you going? We're running up to the new year. It's a lot of people talk about slowdown towards the end of the year. It doesn't happen here at Momentum Media Smart Property Investment. We drive through the whole break, delivering news, marketing intel right through it. So don't think we're switching off. Don't you switch off. Keep connected in, and we'll be doing what we do right through the Christmas, New Year period and into January. So I hope you enjoy it. If you've got some time sitting on the beach, spending time hanging out around a campfire, a barbecue, or sitting at home, relaxing and reflecting on what's going to be happening in the year ahead, I hope you tune into the Smart Property Investment Show. Get you geared up for a very prosperous and proactive new year. But I always like to do this towards the back end of every year, start reflecting on what's happened over 2017 in this case. Things were important, things were a little bit benign, key themes and attitudes, sentiments around property investment. So for the next couple of episodes, running up into the new year and into the new year, we're just going to have a look back over the year past and try and pick out some key themes that we think is important to reflect on and hopefully give us some scope and scale to shift ahead into the 2018 on guard, on message and building our property portfolios. So I've got two guests with me today, and you might have heard from one of them beforehand, Tim Neary, who is our Managing Editor of Real Estate here at Momentum Media. Tim, how you going?
I'm good, Phil. Thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to be involved with the Smart Property Investment Show, top podcast in the country.
Oh, well, sometimes it is, but it's good. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, Tim works right across our real estate suite here at Momentum Media. So Smart Property Investment, obviously, real estate business and residential property manager all fit within Tim's domain in terms of driving and steering the editorial. So it's always good to have him on. He gives us some really interesting anecdotes, opinions, observations right across real estate, whether it's for property investors or for residential sales agents or property managers. So it's a real holistic approach. So Tim?
Yeah, mate, thanks a lot. And it's there's a lot going on in real estate, as always, in property with agents and in the property market itself. So always lots to talk about. Always a pleasure to do exactly that.
It's good, mate. And you'll be hearing a lot more from Tim next year as well. And also my next guest, and he's new to podcasting, so I'm going to make this a really difficult, nerve-wracking experience for him. It's Sasha Karen. He's our content producer here at Smart Property Investment. How you going, Sasha?
I'm going all right. I feel like the stage has already been set with just that little bit of anticipation of anxiety. Thanks for throwing that on. But
so how nervous are you out of 10? What's your nerve level?
Maybe an 11.5.
Really?
Conservatively.
How do we make you more relaxed, mate? We're here just to have a chat about property, so we'll get there.
Just get into it.
All right, let's do it then. So Sasha, the content guru that he is, he's gone into the archives and he's spent hours trawling through Smart Property Investment to see what we've been doing this year, and he's come up with the top 10 news stories of 2017. I like it, Sasha. I love the initiative. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And what we're going to do is just go through these top 10 and just have a bit of a chat about it. We're quite fortunate that we're all journos. That's what we do all day. We might not be right. We might not be wrong. And as journalists, we often, Tim, as you know, sometimes get it wrong and annoy the wrong people, or there's always topical.
Too right, and you can't always be impressing or pleasing everybody, and we've got to take an opinion sometimes, and we call it like we see it.
Okay, so we're going to give our opinions on this. All right, let's count down 10 to 1. So our number 10 story this year. So Sasha, this is ranked on reads, is it?
Yes, so it's ranked on reads. So yeah, 10 to 1. So number 1 is the most read story.
Okay, so number 10 is the 10th top ranked story, and we'll just go down to 1 from there. So number 10 headline was why restricting property investors could damage Australia's economy, and pretty much a federal government proposal regarding foreign investment restrictions could potentially be disastrous for the Australian economy, according to one property agency. Tim, these evil foreign investors that everyone's been talking about, what's your take on it?
I mean, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because the economy is as buoyant as it is because it's driven by the property by the property market, a cornerstone of the economy. But then at the same time, we've got a lot of foreign investment coming in, which is inflating prices and pushing this so-called property bubble to new areas. So it's a bit of a break and acceleration kind of thing. Yeah,
I can see why it's a very emotive issue, and it has been, whether it's this cycle or previous cycles when the Japanese were buying up all the Gold Coast. There's really emotive sentiments around that with Australian properties, but Australian property investors and Australians in general. My view of this is that the market is the market.
Yeah.
Australia is a major Asian location, destination. Bernard Salt talks about the Dubai effect, and that's happening here in Asia, and that is Australia is the Dubai of the Asian area. What will be will be. Obviously, the government's tried to look at how it can curtail some foreign investment to ensure that property is sustainable.
It cool, yeah.
Just soften out. Sasha, what do you reckon, mate?
Well, I mean, it's easy to deem the foreign investor as, the bad guy. They're coming in, buying what could be ours, but I mean, as Tim was saying, it's quite a double-edged sword, because on the other hand, there are people who are also saying that foreign investment is vital to the Australian economy, and things would be much, much worse.
Because there is a flow of dollars that comes from it, which is always healthy.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem and the emotion around this is that a lot of people see foreign investment, and wherever that investment's coming from, just call it foreign investment, is putting too much upwards pressure on property prices because people have more money externally. They're trying to invest in Australia, and therefore it's putting positive pressure on prices going up and up and up and up, therefore making it unaffordable for everyone else. Now, we need to remember that the government, APRA, other regulatory bodies have tried to curtail investment lending and the activity of investors over this year and previous years as well, which has softened the market a little bit.
And they've had some success in that.
There's some success. But one of the biggest issues with foreign investment is that they have they're buying up new build stuff, and it just sits there with no one in it.
Yeah.
And they're looking at, I think they might have even put in a tax on these empty properties because, we can't put people in there and we need residential pricing and stuff. Anyway.
We wrote some stories like that, didn't we, earlier on in the year, around them taxing the vacant properties?
Yeah.
In Melbourne in particular, if I remember correctly?
I think that seems
Yeah.
So it'll play out. It is what it is. I think we're quite fortunate as a nation to be buoyant.
Yeah.
We have a strong economy, and obviously there's challenges to it, but we have a very diverse economic footprint. We're strong in mining and resources. That's come off a little bit, but as Australia transitions, and I know our Prime Minister is well behind this, to a financial hub, a service economy, we should be trying to attract foreign investment.
And the reality is, isn't it, Phil and Sasha, is that that Australian real estate is some of the best real estate around the world. And that's a great sort of,
for good reason. People want to live here because
that's right, because it's a great it's a great sort of natural asset. It's just the term that comes to mind is the lucky country, and it's just another one of those good cards.
Yeah, and I think just to summarise this, I think we should have confidence in our government to actually steer us through this process to attract as much foreign investment as possible to help sustain a growing economy and a growing nation, but putting in the checks and balances to ensure it doesn't sway the market too much in a particular way, to ensure the sovereignty of our real estate.
That's right, exactly.
It's a topical issue. I don't want to get too much into it. There's people that know a lot more about it than I do and we do to make those calls. But anyway, it's obviously something which was of interest to our readers. Number 9, Sasha, was research shows crowdfunding successful alternative to buying property. So crowdfunding. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot going on there, to be quite honest. I mean, I can see why it's up there because there isn't that much being talked about it at the moment, and that's kind of interesting. I mean, crowdfunding is taken up in other areas in the online space, and the way I see it with property, it's still just starting. It hasn't quite found its footing yet.
Yeah, it's a tough one. With crowdfunding, so crowdfunding is all the buzz, it's all the rage.
Yeah.
Everyone's into crowdfunding these now.
Yep.
That's my telephone. That's poor form.
That'll cost
I'm always a message to a property person.
That's a beer forfeit for you there, Phil. Yeah,
I think it is. But everyone's talking about crowdfunding, so it's very glamorous, attractive, sizzling sort of industry now.
It's the new black at the moment.
It's the new black, and if property investors are looking towards crowdfunding to secure finance, now crowdfunding's okay if you're an SME and you need 10 grand of quick money, but we're talking about 200, 300, 400,000 bucks out of crowdfunding. There's a lot of debate around crowdfunding and the strength of crowdfunding and how crowdfunding will have a role to play in the market moving forward. Now, if you're tapping on crowdfunding, if you can get the same rates as you're getting from your major banks, maybe have a look at it, but you might be paying a premium by using a crowdfunder. Why are you going to a crowdfunder? You're going to a crowdfunder, and I'm probably going to get angry messaging around this because you can't get finance from a normal bank.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to touch that too much. And for some of you crowdfunders out there, happy for you to contact us, editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. We'll get you on the show and we'll have a chat about how you're servicing property buyers. But this is our number 9 story. It says research by the University of South Australia has revealed revealed that crowdfunding could help would-be investors enter into the property markets. It says would-be investors. I don't know, Sasha. I'll pick you up on that. What's would-be investor mean? Someone that just wants to do it.
Yeah, so somebody is just, looking into the area, seeing, hey, investment, that's something I can do. Property, great. And yeah, just taking that first step forward rather than somebody who's already taken 5 steps forward.
Yeah. I'd have to be a pretty good proposition for me to start knocking on the door of a crowdfund to get mortgage finance.
Yeah, I think that's the secret. Would-be investors, those that want to get in that can't secure the traditional methods, or those that have got to their ceiling and
need different money. That's a good point.
Yeah, and look for something else.
Yeah,
So,
check it out.
yeah.
Have a look at it.
Maybe not the first port of call, but maybe it's got a role to play.
Maybe it does.
Let's watch the space.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, number 8. The story is Australia in a property bubble. Majority of experts warn. It says Australians are living beyond their means and overcapitalising on property purchases as the country remains in a property bubble. Legal and conveyancing professionals have warned. Now, I was reading the Daily Mail the other day, and the Daily Mail, as you all know, is a very reputable publication.
Of course it is.
And it annoyed me.
Yeah.
A lot of things there annoy me, but I still read it. You know, like when I just want to escape the world and see what's going on. But I read a piece about how this bubbles burst and Sydney's in dire straits and it's all over. The bubble bursting, according to the Daily Mail, was that price growth is lower than what it was beforehand. That's the bubble bursting. It's not like
some burst.
Some burst. And I go, it annoys me. This property bubble thing annoys the shit out of me. And I think it's easy headlines for media agencies, not us included, Sasha. We actually look at this with quite a lot of diligence and sensibility. But this bubble bursting, we need to remember that markets across Australia are all different. We've got our friends over in Western Australia who are hurting right now. There's no bubble in Perth. There is no rapid price increases. Those guys are struggling out there. Sydney, Melbourne, yes, they've been growing. Sydney's had a great run of price growth over the last sort of 5-6 years for good reason. And go and listen to the Bernard Salt podcast we did about a month ago, and he'll give some of his insights towards it. But the property bubble is easy headlines, isn't it, Sasha?
It is. I mean, for just like me, who's anxious about being on a podcast, everybody's got there's an anxiety about something that they have in their lives, and there's lots of investors out there. They have these property investments they put so much money and time and effort into, so of course they're going to be worrying and panicking about the slightest little movement that could send that whole thing tumbling down. So I can see why people want to read about property bubbles and see where that stuff's going to go.
So fear makes good headlines, right?
Yeah.
I know you trade off them all the time, Tim. I've seen some of your headlines recently. You love a little bit of. No, you're actually you're pretty balanced.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, just as an aside around here, it's about talking to the audience. It's about the things that people are interested in. So fear is one of them. People, we're fearful of property bubbles, and why wouldn't we be? But you make a good point, and Sasha does this very well when he writes these stories. He gets to the heart of matters. He asks the experts about, this is what people are talking about. What's the truth? And you made a good point a little bit earlier about saying, there isn't just one market in Australia. There's not one property market in Australia, and some of them are doing okay, and some of them are not doing okay. And does that constitute a property bubble? I don't know. My personal view is no. I don't think so, but you talk to 10 people, you'll get 10 different opinions.
Yeah. I going back to that Daily Mail story, I think it had Shane Oliver in there. He's AMP's
AMP, yeah.
And he's always a voice of reason. He went, prices are going to come off a little bit. It's not going to grow as fast as what it is, but bubbles, I think. And
there's constant fluctations.
But I much prefer to be putting my money into property than Bitcoin, for example. If you want to start talking about bubbles, but anyway, you've got to remember that banks, when you look at property investors who have a mortgage on their property, banks hold, for most investors, the lion's share of a lot of the debt within. So they're co-investing in you and investing in property.
Yeah.
Banks aren't going to be lending money out if they think that they're lending at a rate which is way above what those properties should be.
And we're seeing in the markets that are performing well and have performed well that there's fundamentals that are backing up those reasons that the market has performed well. So where there's that structural integrity in the market, there's less likely to be a burst. There's less likely it's just going to fall over like a pack of cards.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so number 7, seventh top story this year. It says lithium mining boom predicted to further boost WA property market, and the stand first this says, and stand first in journalistic parlance is the sort of first paragraph. Yep. With the announcement of UK and France reducing the sale of petrol and diesel cars, lithium batteries are to be utilised, which sets the stage for a knock-on effect for WA's property market. So back to digging stuff out of the ground, right? How much lithium have we got? A fair bit.
We've got quite a fair bit, and
Okay.
I mean, there's always a bit of buzz with WA. I mean, even after the mining turndown, there's still interest in the WA economy, and things are starting to look up for what I've been told. So it's not a bad idea to keep an eye out for Perth and WA in 2018.
So this story, the way I'd frame it as a property investor is that why should you be choosing particular regions to be investing in property? So why do you invest in property? You invest in property because you want them to go up in value and you want to be able to get a yield on it to help you hold that property and potentially be positive, so it puts money in your pocket.
That it won't cost you too much while you're holding it.
So simple way. All right. So how do you work out where to invest in property? You want to invest in property which is going to have the propensity to go up in value. Now, why does stuff go up in value? A whole bunch of different reasons, but you need to be looking at job growth, wage growth, population increase, infrastructure development, amenities, schools, hospitals, all this sort of stuff.
Sort of long-term attraction.
Long-term attraction. So this story around lithium mining, so if you think back to the property boom in WA, it was built on the back of a resources boom. And that was not a resources boom in that digging stuff out of the ground. It's building the stuff to help you get stuff out of the ground. And that's when Perth really took off, when it had an influx of professionals right across Australia into WA to support the development of mining. And that was to build the plant, the equipment, the shelter, everything that needed to go in there so we could start digging this stuff out of the ground. Now, we've gone from that construction phase into just a production phase, and obviously that's had a detrimental impact on the WA market, because I don't know exactly the numbers, but you've gone from the construction phase to resources, and it's like production, it's a huge drop to 10% of what the actual construction force was. So hence the reason why prices, and that's very sort of there's a whole bunch of other factors, dropped in WA. So if they're going to start digging lithium out of the ground, okay, where is this lithium? I don't know. They've got to go and find it, and then someone's got to work out how to get it out of the ground, and that whole period to actual production of or manufacturing to get that out of the ground and turning into lithium batteries. So, as a property investor, I'd be keeping an eye on these type of things. It might highlight areas where you should be considering about investing, but like most single industry towns, which might go through great growth during a period of time when they're trying to set up to capitalise on mining. They'll look at places like Port Hedland and stuff, and it's absolutely dropped like you wouldn't believe. So be very careful with mining towns. You should be thinking about investing in locations which have multiple industries, so it's not all relying on one thing in particular. Tim, would you agree with that?
All eggs in one basket. I mean, this is a great story. I love this story. There's two working sort of moving parts to this one. One is how much lithium is there in the ground and all of that. So sort of the geologists would get involved in that.
And is there a need for the lithium?
And that's the second part. Is this long-term view on petrol and diesel cars, and how much of an impact on the world economy going forward is that going to make? I mean, if we do in the next 10 years, 20 years, stop producing diesel and petrol cars, and it all goes into electronic cars, maybe this is a big story. Maybe this is a big future.
A lot of people got caught out, mate, with investing in mining towns, which went from $1,000 a week on a $800,000 property to now they're worth $200,000, and you can't get anyone to rent them. So,
To your point earlier about having multiple resources in the area. Yeah. But it's an interesting story from a journo's point of view. I'll be keeping a close eye on this one. I'm sure Sasha will as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good. All right, number 6, Sasha. Housing market, the fall by 2020. The rise in house prices over financial years 16-17 has been predicted to be short-lived by industry analyst and economic forecaster BIS Oxford Economics. Does that used to be BIS Shrapnel that's changed?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I haven't seen any name change from them. But
housing market, the fall by 2020. The rise in house prices over financial year has been predicted to be short-lived by industry. So we must have written this pretty early on, right? I don't know. It's just another one of these stories, isn't it? We can write one of these every day.
But the thing is, there's our readers, our audience, they love predictions. I mean, everybody loves a good prediction, and this is looking a bit more ahead all the way to so in that kind of that short midterm of 2020, people they want to know where the pulse may lead in the future, and I can't blame them.
This hotspot thing on SPI, it's a big drive. It's a big reader, isn't it? People love the hotspots. I know this is not a hotspot direct story, but it folds into that genre.
Though. Again, it's fear mongering and it's
and crystal balling, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
Well, that's what property's all about, right?
Yeah.
Which place is going up in value the most? But that's the 10 to 6. So the 5 stories popular this year. So number 10 was why restricting foreign investors could damage Australia's economy. Number 9, research shows crowdfunding successful alternative to buying property. Number 8, Australian property bubble, majority of experts warn. Number 7, lithium mining boom predicted to further boost WA property market. And number 6 was housing market to fall by 2020. Tim, 3 of those stories are all about sort of crystal balling, fear mongering, doomsday merchanting, skies falling inning.
Yeah.
You know,
predicting the future. Is the sky going to fall on our heads? Are we gonna be here tomorrow?
I don't know. Sasha, what do you reckon, mate?
Oh, I live in hope, or at least I try to.
You're a young bloke. You saving up your money to invest in property at some point?
Yeah, definitely. It's I know that working on smart property investment even more has opened up my eyes to the world of property investment, and there's hope for one day I can have quite a healthy portfolio.
Mate, it's an occupational hazard. I'll just say that. You come in here as a young fresh-faced journalist, and maybe not so fresh-faced journalist, but you come in here a bit of a green journalist. You work on the Smart Property Investment Show, Smart Property Investment. The next thing you're investing in property, it gets you. Yeah.
To be fair, Sasha, you probably got the best apprenticeship in Australia to learn about investing in property.
You're definitely right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
this is the home of the experts. There's no doubt about it,
mate.
Yeah.
We're fortunate. I say it all the time when hosting the Smart Property Investment Show is that I've got one of the most fortunate positions in Australia. I can call up anyone in property in Australia and ask them if I think about someone. Go, I know a bloke that can answer that for me and give me the knowledge and the insights and the intel, the observations, or the sentiments towards a particular thing. And every investor should be able to do that.
Yeah,
listen to the show. There's some other good shows out there, and
it's a good, it's a good point as well. And all of that intel that you talk about that finds its way either onto the site, or into this very podcast that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So it's a real gem of a resource.
It's good. So what I'm going to do, Tim and Sasha, so what I'm going to do, Tim and Sasha, is I'm going to stop there. I said we'll go to 10, but I'm going to do it as a different podcast. I want to make sure that we give it plenty of meat, each of these different things. So I'm going to press hold. We're going to start at number 5 in the next podcast. Back. So tune in. So 2 or 3 days' time, it'll come through your feed on iTunes, or make sure you check out smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. We'll run 5 to 1. And there's some interesting stuff in here, which consistent with the top 10 in terms of a bit of doomsday merchanting, but some other stuff as well, which is pretty interesting. So how's that, Sasha?
Yeah.
First cab off the rank?
No, yeah, that's pretty great. So it's already done. On to the next one.
You're a natural, mate. You've just been standing out in front of the market, owning the thing.
What is it that you like most about property, Sasha? Property journalism?
I don't know. There's just something that there's lots of people want to know about it, and it gives me... See, with journalism in general, I like to help people. That's kind of my motto, my creed. And property is something that people want to know a lot about, but it can be so intricate. There's all of these little things that you need to know, and I don't know. Look, if I can help somebody make the right decision rather than a poor decision, it's just, that's my pat on the back.
It's with journalism, journalism's cool, and I completely agree with what you're saying. You have the same sort of ethos.
Absolutely, yeah.
The role that journalists play in just giving people information so they can make more informed choices, whatever it is, right? A lot of people are attracted to fashion journalism. A lot of people are attracted to, cars or, particular hobbies and stuff. But you talk about property, a lot of people go, property is pretty boring, It's not. It's the pointy end of stuff in Australia. Why is Australia so strong? Why is Australia's economy so buoyant? Why is its bank so strong? It's because we have a really robust and vibrant property market. And we're fortunate that a lot of people want to come and live in Australia. We've got an immigration policy, which is, I hope, open to continue to grow and cultivate Australia as a nation. And back to the Bernard Salt podcast I did, mate, there's some very positive things ahead of us in terms of population growth. And if you're investing in property and seeing property as a tool for you to create wealth, it's a great place to be. But from a journalistic perspective, it's big business, right? It's big business. $6+ trillion in the value of residential real estate. I think that's the latest stats. $3+ trillion in mortgage debt in Australia. It's what underpins our banks. It's where most of their profits come from. So, I'm very happy that I've invested in building my career within property journalism because, mate, it is the pointy end of things, and it's very sexy as far as I'm concerned.
It's too right, yeah, and all of those things, and it also attracts a sort of a wealth of intellectual capital to the industry. So lots of people to talk, lots of moving parts to pull together, and create
macro, microeconomic stuff, demographic stuff, social stuff, livability stuff. It's the backbone, like shelter.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
And there's some good people in there. Some
people.
real good people, some real characters, some real smart people too.
There is some smart people. There's also some sharks and charlatans in property.
So watch out for them, folks.
Watch out for them. Keep listening to Smart Property Investment Show. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but hopefully I can give you enough information that you can go out there and make informed investment decisions. Sasha, thank you. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Tim, we'll get you back very soon for 5 to 1.
Nice one.
That's
Good.
right.
Look forward to it. Thanks, mate.
Remember to check out smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. If you're not on any of our social stuff and you'd like to get our information that way, just search Smart Property HQ. If you're not subscribing, getting market intelligence every single morning from Smart Property Investment, go to the site smartpropertyinvestment.com.au/subscribe. Any questions for me, Sasha, Tim, or anyone else on the show, email editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. It goes through to Sasha and he will get back to you really quickly. That's correct, isn't it?
That's right.
You're the man. All right. We'll be back again soon. Until then, bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property, or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.